Most traders can tell when price is going up. Most traders can tell when price is going down. But here's the problem. Most traders don't know when the current movement is actually ending. And that creates one of the biggest problems in trading. A price moves down, then it starts moving up. The trader says, it's just a correction. So they wait for the bearish trend to continue, but price keeps moving higher. And suddenly, what they thought was a correction turns into a reversal. Now let's look at the opposite. Price is moving up. Then sellers push the price down. The trader says the trend is over, so they exit. Or even worse, they start selling. But price finds support, buyers return, and the bullish trend continues. So here's the question. How do you actually know the difference? How do you know when a movement is still just a correction and when it has become the beginning of a new impulse in the opposite direction? Most traders try to solve this problem by adding more indicators. Maybe RSI, maybe MACD, maybe moving averages, maybe volume. Then they add another confirmation and another until the chart is full of information, but they still don't understand what the price itself is actually telling them. So here's the seed of doubt I want you to consider. What if the problem isn't that you don't have enough indicators? What if the problem is that you don't have a clear framework for interpreting the movement? Because the market is already giving you information. The question is, do you know how to read it? This is one of the questions that led me to develop the Fractal Authority Model. FAM. The idea is simple at its foundation. Instead of starting with, where will price go next? I start with, who currently holds authority? Are buyers in control? Are sellers in control? And what happens when the opposing side starts challenging that authority? Because a correction isn't simply a movement in the opposite direction, and a reversal isn't simply a bigger correction. There has to be evidence. There has to be structure. There has to be a measurable relationship between the movement you're observing and the movement that came before it. This is where I believe many traders get confused. They see price moving against the trend, but they don't have a framework to determine whether that movement is a temporary correction or the beginning of a new impulse. And without that distinction, trading becomes a guessing game. You start predicting, you start assuming, you start looking for confirmation from whatever indicator happens to agree with your bias. But what if we approach the market differently? What if we observe first, measure second, and decide only after the evidence becomes clear? That's the direction I'm taking with the Fractal Authority Model. I'm not trying to build another magic indicator. I'm not trying to create another system that tells you buy here, sell there. I'm trying to build a framework for understanding why a movement is happening, who is driving it, and when the balance of authority begins to change. And here's something important. You don't have to abandon indicators to understand FAM. You can use them, or you can choose not to. For me, indicators are optional tools. The framework is the logic underneath, because if you understand the underlying structure, an indicator can become a visual aid. But if you don't understand the structure, you can have 10 indicators and still be confused. That's why I'm building FAM around observation, structure, measurement, and logic. Not prediction, not hope, not hype, and not blind dependence on indicators. The goal is to understand what the market is actually showing you, because you can't control what price does next, but you can control how you interpret the evidence. And this is where the Fractal Authority Model begins, with one simple question. Is this really a correction, or am I watching the beginning of a new impulse? If that question interests you, then you're going to find the development of FAM interesting, because this is only the beginning. I'm going to continue breaking down the concepts behind the framework, step by step, from the basic principles to the more advanced ideas about fractal structure, buyer and seller authority, authority transfer, and how movement can be measured instead of simply guessed. If you want to follow the journey, subscribe to Bias Positive Digital Rise. And if you disagree with my thinking, that's completely fine. Don't just agree with me. Challenge the logic. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. Because I'm not trying to build a community of people who blindly follow my ideas. I'm trying to build a community of traders who learn to think more deeply about the market. So is it a correction, or is it the beginning of a new impulse? That's the question. And maybe The answer is not found in another indicator. Maybe the answer is already visible in the structure of the market. You just need a better way to read it. This is the Fractal Authority Model, and we're only getting started.